Between 500 and 600 million people on Earth live near a volcano. I have lived near one myself. In the summer of 2015, I lived and worked at Yellowstone National Park, a volcanic site which spans from Wyoming to parts of Montana and Idaho. Not every volcanic site on Earth is the same. Today I want to go over 3 types of volcanoes with you: cinder cone, shield volcanoes, and stratovolcanoes. Let's start with the smallest type. Cinder cones have the appearance of a small symmetrical cone or mound that has a deep crater at the top. For example, you can find cinder cones in near Flagstaff, Arizona in the volcanic field. You can also find hundreds of cinder cones at the base of a larger volcano called Mauna Loa in Hawaii. There's also a cinder cone volcano forming right now in the Canary Islands of Spain called La Cumbre Veija. I encourage you to look up La Cumbre Veija on YouTube, as you can watch the eruptions happening live. Here's what you can expect from the eruption of a cinder cone volcano. Lava explodes from a fissure in the earth, often a fissure at the base of a shield volcano. Ash and rock piles up around the eruption site and forms the symmetrical cone. The volcano is made of loose fragments of ash and rock, and so it's not uncommon for lava to flow from the top of the volcano and from the base of the volcano as it seeps through the loose fragments. The cinder cone volcano that is currently forming in La Palma, Spain, has already covered 825 hectares of land and destroyed over 2,000 buildings. It has been erupting for 6 weeks, but year-long explosions are not uncommon. Let's move on to shield volcanoes. Shield volcanoes can often be found on islands. For example, Kilauea in Hawaii is a shield volcano, as well as Mauna Loa in Hawaii and the Fernandina Island of the Galapagos. These volcanoes have the lowest explosivity of all the types of volcanoes. They have a smooth, running lava that forms a ropey rock when cooled. Kilauea has covered and destroyed entire towns and beaches, and it can erupt continually for months at a time. Fatalities from these types of eruptions are not very common, but they do happen. Shield volcanoes erupt with varying levels of frequency. For example, Kilauea may erupt several times a year, but Mauna Loa has only erupted 32 times in the past 200 years. Stratovolcanoes are the largest type of volcano. That's not true. Stratovolcanoes are a very large type of volcano. They are the shape of tall mountains, and they're often snow-capped, and they're about 8,000 feet tall on average, although they can be and often are much larger than that. Mount St. Helens in Washington is an example of a stratovolcano, as well as Mount Fuji in Japan, Mount Vesuvius, and Krakatoa, which is in Indonesia. Eruptions from these types of volcanoes are quite violent. For example, Mount St. Helens eruption was 500 times more forceful than the atomic bomb which was dropped on Hiroshima. The initial blast from Mount St. Helens sent material 12 miles into the air. The lava is a thick, muddy consistency, which traps the gases inside of it. This is why the eruption is so strong. The consistency of the lava traps the gases, and the gases build up pressure. That pressure is what causes the eruption to be so forceful. Lava also tends to mix with the snow and ice at the top of the volcano and form a dangerous lava mudslide called the lahar flow, which can be very damaging. Ash clouds can reach tens of kilometers into the air and rain burning ash and rock on nearby cities. The aftermath from one of these eruptions is usually devastating. Dark clouds of ash are seen from space. Mount St. Helens also dropped 490 tons of ash on an area about the size of West Virginia. Because these eruptions happen quickly, there is usually no time to escape once the eruption begins. During the 1883 eruption of Krakatoa, 36,000 people were killed. About 70% of that island was completely buried by the eruption, and many of the surrounding islands had 0 survivors. These eruptions can also trigger global climate shifts like volcanic winters. Forceful stratovolcano eruptions are not very common. They're often foreshadowed by strong earthquakes, and Mount St. Helens also had a dome-shaped bulge that grew up to 5 feet per day on the side of the mountain to foreshadow its eruption. They did their best to evacuate the area as they knew that something was about to happen. Today we've covered 3 types of the volcanoes that you can find on Earth: cinder cones, the island-forging shield volcanoes, and the dangerous tall stratovolcanoes. Throughout your life and travels, you may have the experience of encountering one of these volcanoes. If you do, I hope that you'll be able to better appreciate the different types and you'll be able to enjoy your learning experience. Volcanoes may be fearsome and powerful forces, but they play an important role in creating our planet's geosphere. They're constantly forging oceanic crust, as well as creating and expanding islands. Their activity forms every kind of igneous rock, which delivers minerals to the Earth's surface. Volcanic islands can also have rich soil, which enables the growth of beautiful vegetation and food. There's no question that volcanoes are a force to be reckoned with, but that force is a creative one. Thank you.